Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show that is dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here today for our Battle of the Bands. This is day number 11, March 11th, and this is the two bands for that battle. I'm in a bit of a different location today. I got a bit of a mess in the office area, so I decided I would do it here at the table. I do apologize that this was supposed to come out this morning, but I was really tired when I got home last night, and to be honest, it took a little bit of work to find one of the bands. The other one was a little bit of work too, but not as much. The other one, the first band that we're going to talk about, there was a couple of other kind of bands that fit in there as well, and so it was a little bit confusing, but I figured it out, and we got to listen to the albums, both of them. So we're going to start our Battle of the Bands. So again, I apologize that this will come out late, probably mid-afternoon, as I had much to do this morning, and got it all done, and everything's looking good. So anyways, the two bands we're doing today are Utan at Utan. I think that's how you pronounce it, Utan. It's actually orangutan, but they separate the word after the G, hyphenated with a U. So, and it's their self-titled album. They're a band from this album came from 1971. I think both these bands are one-off albums. They only have one. Both from the early 70s. The second band is called Parish, another self-titled album, and came out in late 1970. So both albums sound a bit dated. I think the Utan album is a little more dated, sounds a little bit not as polished. Definitely the production isn't as good and the sound isn't quite as clear. The album cover is quite neat, though I like it. The other band, a little bit better polish to their sound, a little bit better production, and probably overall maybe a little bit better of a sound. Okay, so we'll start with Orangutan because that is the band that was given to me first. They had 8 tracks on the album, all pretty solid. This band is a little more psychedelic. There's a couple of tunes that kind of put them in the same kind of spot as maybe Atomic Rooster, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing, I think. For me, though, Atomic Rooster, when I first started listening to it, I was a bit disappointed. I expected something different. But once I got that idea out of my head that they weren't that progressive band that I thought they were going to be, and started listening to them for what they were, I really liked the Atomic Rooster album a lot. So I'm thinking that this band will have some of the same impact. They're a little more bluesy than I think Atomic Rooster, but also a little more psychedelic in some areas. But I think overall, I think Atomic Rooster is probably a lot better instrumental. So this is like a poor Atomic Rooster in some ways, I guess you might want to call it that. Very good vocals, very kind of bluesy sounding vocals. I think their music's a little bit heavier than the band that they're going to face here. However, and they're not quite as bluesy. But they do have a lot more of a psychedelic flavor to their music than that. I gave them mostly 6s and 1 7, which was the chocolate piano. It's a very catchy guitar riff in that one. Very heavily psychedelic as well. The drums are solid on that as well. But most of the tracks fall within that psychedelic guitar riffing, and you're either some of them are a little bit heavier and more bluesy, some of them a little more methodical, but pretty much the same. Guitar solos are pretty good, not bad. There's no real outstanding musicians on this album, but the music itself is pretty solid. It's an album that I would look for. I doubt I'm going to be able to find it. It found difficult to find it online, so I'm doubting I'm going to find it in the record store, but I'll definitely put it down and look for it. If it comes up, that's great. It's like a score when you find something that's hard to find and it's in good shape and everything. You treat it like precious gold, right? So overall, I like this group quite a bit. And I'll tell you right now, I still have not decided which of these two bands is going to win. sometimes that happens. I say, I don't know, man. Maybe if I talk about it online, it'll come clear to me. Okay, so we're going to move on to band number 2 here. Parish Hall, self-titled album from late 1970. 10 tracks on this particular album. This band is a lot heavier bluesy. They're more bluesy. There's only a very little bit of psychedelic flavor to them, I think. This band has a little more of a Hendrix sound to some of their songs as well. I think their guitar player is a little better. Overall, I think their musicianship's probably a little better, and the vocalist definitely has a more mid-range kind of vocals, which I think suit them much better than the vocalist on the Orangutan suited them. Also, the quality of production on this album is better in the sense that it's competing against that band. Overall, it's not great, but it's not bad. The sound is fairly clear, but it again is a very dated sound. Both of the albums are kind of dated in sound. If you like that early 70s bluesy rock, this will fall right within your wheelhouse. If you're like a Leonard Skinner, maybe that southern sound to your music, this definitely will fall within that bluesy part of their element of their music. It's not as heavy as Orangutan. Orangutan was a little bit heavier, but it does have its heavy parts. There are some songs on here that are fairly heavy. I gave almost the entire album a 5, 1, 6, and a 7. The first opening track I thought was better than anything that either album did. My Eyes is the title track, the opening track. So My Eyes Are Getting Heavy. That's a song I can definitely identify with. Anyways, heavy guitar riff here, very bluesy vocals, but always in the mid-range, and that's pretty much a theme for the entire album. They do have some piano on their music, which is tastefully done on a couple tracks. The last track, of course. Most of the tracks, though, are pretty bluesy-oriented tracks, heavy blues, actually, in some cases, and some pretty heavy guitar soloing as well. A couple of songs, I did write it here, so yeah, here it is. We're Gonna Burn Together, real heavy bluesy opening. It's almost got this kind of Hendrix sound to it. There's a couple of songs that have a bit of a hint to Hendrix. Now, they're no way like Hendrix. Like, Hendrix is much heavier than them, but they just have that little hint of that sound to them, right? So a pretty solid album overall. I think, that, like I said, the quality's a little better on this album than on the Orangutan. I do like the album cover on the Orangutan quite a bit. It's kind of reminiscent of that King Kong movie, but instead of King Kong on top of a building, it's a orangutan filling up almost the entire New York City. kind of a neat cover. This one's a little more boring. It's just a picture of a guy who looks like a rock star on the cover. So pretty solid albums, both of them. It just basically comes down to I liked both of them listening to them the first time. I just think moving forward, the Parish Hall album would probably fade on me quicker because it's bluesy, and my era of listening to blues music isn't as strong as it once was. I had my period where that's all I would listen to, and then now I've kind of gone past that, and not that I've outgrown it. I don't think I've outgrown it. I just lost a little bit of interest in it, so I don't listen to bluesy music as much. So Parish Hall's a little weak because of that, so they're going to fade a little bit quicker for me, even though I think they're a little bit better instrumentally. The Orangutan album, I think, has more potential for me because of the psychedelic part to their music, and the fact that they kind of have parts of them, little bits and pieces and hints of the Atomic Rooster, which has really become one of my favorite albums this year so far, or my favorite albums on my playlist. It's been dominant there for a while now, and I like it a lot, and I'm hoping that I might get a little bit out of that from this group as well. So I think there's a little more potential with the Orangutan if moving forward. So based on that, and the fact that they had a few more 6s and a few less 5s than the Parish Hall, I'm gonna give it to Orangutan today. They're going to end up moving on to the next round. Hopefully I get a bit better chance to hear them a little bit stronger. This particular computer isn't as strong as the new one, and I still haven't had a chance to do much with the new one because I've been doing this pretty much. And I think that they have maybe a second time through they'll start to come to life for me, and I don't see that happening as much with Parish Hall. So yeah, so Parish Hall is going to go a little on the wayside here, but still, if you like, again, I'm going to reiterate this, it's all a matter of taste, right? If you'd given me this album in the 1980s when I was listening to Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Muddy Waters and all that stuff, this album would have probably been a slide to get in here. But because it's not in that era for me anymore, I still think it's a good album. I think if you like that kind of music, that really heavy bluesy, you're going to like this stuff a lot. But if you're like me, I'm just now starting to get into that psychedelic era of music. You know, evidence for me is the Doors. I could not stand the Doors for many, many, many years. Pushed on by people, and the more they pushed, the worse I liked them. Got to a point where I just didn't even care. I didn't want to hear them anymore, right? I didn't want even people to talk about it. Then I was at a yard sale one day, and I got a bunch of Doors albums for next to nothing. So I said, "Oh, what the hell? I'll take them anyways. At worst, I'll be able to sell them for something." And now, I said, I'm going to listen to them in chronological order. Sometimes when you listen to a band in chronological order, you get that kind of feeling that originally was created by them. If you take them out of sequence and stuff, you get a different feel. So I started with the opening of the Doors album, and now I just love that album. I just took it off the playlist today because it's been on there for almost over 6 months, and so it's time to move on. Another Doors album will be coming up, and I'm just looking forward to it. So I've really grown into the psychedelic era with them and Atomic Rooster and a few others, and so I think the Orangutan just fits into that bill much better for me. So anyways, I hope you like this video. Just tried a new location today just for relaxation reasons, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe below. Subscribe on this side, and if you have any comments about either of these albums, that'd be great. Anyways, you have a good day, and this will come out immediately after I upload it, and I do apologize for the lateness of it. Tomorrow's will be a little better. I have to straighten out one particular battle that it was supposed to go a few days ago, but I've been putting it off because we're trying to decide what we're doing there. Okay, so have a good one. Take care. Bye.